This is the work assignment we ask you to do when we are working with congruent or similars. We are giving you the check in the middle to remind you that you should check your answers and make sure that they are all correct when the answers are posted during the class. On the left-hand side, we give you a definition reminder of what congruent and similar means. Congruent means the same shapes, the same exact size. Similars, same shapes, but different size. And on the left work we have right here is start out very simple. We ask you to identify if the objects are similars, congruents, or neither one of those. And I'm going to go ahead and answer these as we're working through. I hope once you get the practice or once you know how to answer it, you can pause this video at any time to complete the rest of the practice on your own and then check your answers at the end. Number one, is it the same shape? Yes, it looked like it's the moon upside down. This is up, this is down, and it looked like it's going to be the same size. So I'm going to give the answers congruent. You can also write it in the writing tools or just write it in on a piece of paper. Number two, similars, congruent, neither one of those. Well, this one is shorter, this one is longer. They are about maybe the same shape, but this one is longer. And so I would say they are similar. Imagine this one flipped around and I just dragged it longer, same shapes, but different size. So this one I would say maybe similars or neither one. Well, this one is in doubt, so let's leave it for later. Number three, congruent, no doubt about that. Number four, similars, no doubt. We make this one larger, we will get exactly this one. Now, if I make this one larger, I don't necessarily have this one. So I think this number two is very much neither one of those. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put neither one for number two. And that's because if I flip this one over, flip over the vertical line here, I would get it on this side the same, but it will be a little bit longer. And again, if I make it larger, I won't get exactly the same shape anymore because this look a little bit more like a square, this look more like a rectangle. They're not similar to each other. Once you're not sure about an answer, you can always go to the next one or try something else, and then something will be much better after you get to see the similar shapes. See, number four, once we put it in, we could go back and answer number two. So that is just a answering strategies to let you know if you're stuck on a problem, don't get stuck and don't say I can't do it, just move on, and maybe you can come back and hit that problem that you can't answer later, and by that time your thinking will be clearer and it will help you to answer it. Number five, not similar for sure, not congruent, so the answer is neither one. Number six, if I turn this one and I would get it on the side, or if I turn this one counterclockwise I would get it on this side, and I make it bigger, it would be like this. The answer is similar. It's where you can pause and try the rest of the question on your own if you know how to answer this already. Number seven, congruence. 8, congruent. 9, neither one. This is a square, this is a rectangle. They're not similar, they're not congruents. Neither one is the answers. Similars, because I have a polygon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this one look like it's 5 side too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, similars. If I have a 6 side and a 5 side, then neither is the answers. This one is neither. Where is it? This one. This is the answer for this one because this one is rounded, this one is a polygon. Neither, similars, congruence, neither, congruence. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 17. We ask you to mark the angles and sides of each pair of triangles to indicate that they are congruent. You are given this statement. Remember how we show you to write the statement? Yes, we are giving you the statement. We just ask you to use the tick mark, to use the arc, and mark them up. Okay, what mark what angles and mark the size. Those two. Let's go ahead and begin. I will use the blue. Let's go ahead and mark the angle first. You can mark the side first. Doesn't matter. Remember, the statement are always corresponding. So we have the letter C in the CDB, and CDB is going to be this triangle. That is going to be corresponding to the letter C over here on the CDL, which is the triangle on the right hand side. Both of these are going to get one arc. And notice how I don't make it connected, because then it looked like one angle. This angle is different than this one. I can actually double mark it with the tick mark, just like this, if I want to say that they are congruent to each other. But the number of arc also tell you that they are congruent, and I think that should be enough. D is going to be corresponding to the D over here, so we're going to mark it with 2 arc. And the last one is going to get 3 arc. Again, with the arc like that, I could also mark it with 1 arc and 2 tick mark. As long as I do exactly the same thing over here, that will also work. My last one, the angle B, is going to be congruent to angle L, the last letter in the statement. So now if I use 3 arc on B, I must use the exact same number, 3 arc, on the letter L. And again, if I use the arc and the tick mark on the arc, I could use, 3 little tick mark on the arc and mark it exactly the same on the other one. And that's all we ask you to do. But remember, you're doing it for the angles, and you're doing it also for the size. So let me go ahead and grab another pen for the side. I could use red or green. Here side, I'm going to use red. The side that is share, I could mark it first like that. Usually I like to mark it like this. For the share side, it's like an S or like a squiggly line, but hey, 1 dash is good too. It's a share side, it's always congruent to each other. What is the next side that would be congruent to each other? I would have BD, and let's go ahead and try these 2 last letters. BD is going to be congruent to LD. So where's BD? BD is this one. I use 2 tick mark now. And DL is this one. I use 2 tick mark. And then one last side that would be congruent to each other, that's CB. And you will see that CB is the first and the last letter here. So CB, 1, 2, 3. 3 tick mark. And then C and the B is the first and the last letter. So here I gotta grab the first and last letter, C and L. So C and L. Marked it with 3 tick mark. We're done. Now it's your turn to do number 18 and then check the answer. Let's show you how to write similarity statement to identify the similar triangles in each figures. So similars is signified by this squiggly things. We are filling in the 2 blanks on the left and the right hand side, and we will finish with the similarity statement. If you are asked to write congruent statement, what you will then have is a congruent sign in between, and that would be the congruent statement with the little squiggly on top of the equal sign. Here we are writing similar statement, and we know that ahead of time, so that's why this squiggly things. The first things we're doing is we're naming the triangle, and because I know it is a triangle, I will go ahead and draw a triangle symbol. If I have a square, then I will draw a square. If I have a rectangle, I draw a rectangle, quadrilateral, or polygon. Some of those are the very popular name that you might see for writing statement. The first one, we are going to name these letters using alphabetic order. So A is the first one, B, and then C. Nothing challenging there. Your kindergarten siblings can do that. A, B, C, D. Now, the next one is the one that they cannot do. This is where you're learning in geometry. The second triangle on the right hand side, you have to write it with the matching corresponding side and angles. So it's easier to go with angle because side I have to pick up two letters. I will go ahead start writing the angles that are corresponding. I know that these are vertical angles and vertical angle are always congruent to each other. So I know that this letter C, oh well, it happened to also be the same letter C on the second side. So this is the triangle for the second one. We need to have matched letter. B is the middle one. This angle, we already have the letter C in. Now the letter B is the next angle we're talking about. And this angle, letter B, is going to be corresponding to the letter D in this triangle. How do I know that? Because of these symbol. You see these geometric notation. If you can review your flashcard on alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, and you will remember when we have parallel lines, we have the alternate exterior, alternate interior, corresponding angles, and consecutive angles. The first three are congruent. The last one is consecutive, is supplementary. You can review these on your flashcard. Is that we have the parallel lines signified by these arrow, and so these are alternate interior angles that are congruent to each other. So B and D are corresponding to each other and they must match with their position in the middle. The next one is the angle E, which is left in the second one, and I'm going to use this 2 arc here. So then it's going to be alternate interior to the angle A in this one. And so A is on the first position, then I must write E, the congruent, the matching angle. In the second one is going to start with E, triangle EDC. So triangle ABC, similar to triangle EDC. Now it's your turn. Go ahead and practice with number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and see if you can write the similar statement in. One more thing I forget to mention. These answer that you have should be down here. If it's not, then it probably is the wrong answers. So let's see if our answer is in for triangle ABC. ABC right here. This is our triangle ABC. Triangle EDC, again, I'm looking down here. If it's not available, then maybe that's the wrong answer. This is DCE, triangle EDC, oh, right here. Okay, so I cross it out because I use those two. And so that also help you check your answers. Make sure that the answer is available on the last line. Naming congruent parts of congruent figures from a congruent statement. Now you're looking at the congruent statement. Notice the equal sign with the little squiggly line on top. Yes, it's given to us. If HIJK congruent to LMNO, list the congruent corresponding parts. So we're starting with angles. I will just make it simple and go with, the first letter. Angle H, the first letter, then I will use the first letter in the second one. And so I have angle H congruent to angle L. Now I'm going to go in order so that I don't miss any angle. Angle I, of course, is going to be corresponding or matching with the second letter on the right hand side figure, angle M. And if you are looking at the drawings on the right hand side here, you might see that it's turned and it might be a little bit harder, maybe not so hard. HI is this one, and that may be like letter M. So not so hard with the figure, but I think it's easier always when I'm given the statement, I would just go with the statement. For me, it's quicker than looking at the figure over here, you can see that it's slightly turned. Angle I congruent to angle M. The next one, we are going to pick the third letter J congruent to letter N for angle N on the other side. And then the last angle, which is the last letter, match with the last letter O in the second one. Now the sides are always 2 letters, so do not write sides with 1 letter or 3 letter, please. I have a student confused between angles and side. For angles, you might try to write 2 letter, and then for side, you might want to write 1 letter. That's bad. Sides are made up of a minimum of 2 points, so we have 2 letters. And again, we can go in orders, and you can always go with the side here. As long as you list them all out, it doesn't matter the orders. I can say KJ with ON or NO, but I'm going to be safe. And for me, it's quicker to just pick it from the statement as long as I'm given the congruent statement here. I'm going to pick first 2 letter, HI. Then it will be the corresponding or matching 2 letters, the first 2 letter on the LM on the other side. HI congruent to LM. And remember, you are practicing writing it with the simple segment on the top. This is also called line segment or segment, which means that it stops right there. It doesn't continue forever. So that's why we have that dashed line. The congruent sign in the middle, the segment LM at the end. So practice writing these in with the geometric symbol. Next one, I can use IJ and then matching position MN. And then JK, just kidding. NO, the last 2 letters. H and K, right? Those are the 2 the 2 letters, the side that I haven't picked yet. HK, then the first and the last letter, LO. And that is all you have to do. If we ask you to list the congruent parts, and the congruent parts, remember, will contain sides. Congruent parts will also contain angles. You will see the answers for the left-hand side. These are the leftover. Okay, check your answers. Make sure that you correct and find the mistakes. If you know your mistake, you will not likely to repeat it on a quiz or test or final exams.